Hey guys, I'm going to make several video reviews on more obscure Neo Geo games that are really fun. This is Nightmare in the Dark. This is an original copy of the game, the NVS version, being played on my Neo Geo Omega using component video. This is a really fun single-screen game, very reminiscent of Snow Bros. As you see in the story here, you're basically a gravekeeper, or two gravekeepers if you play co-op, and your job is to keep your cemetery safe and free of different monsters. It's a really fun high-score game. I'm going to show off some of the gameplay here. It's only 25 stages. You have 5 different parts of the cemetery you're patrolling, and every 5th stage you have a boss fight. And it's very simple again, as I said. You have a fire button, you have a jump button, and you basically are tasked with setting the different enemies in the screen on fire and clearing each screen, and when you do, you advance to the next screen. And you accumulate a high score by picking up treasure that the different zombies or mummies or skeletons or other different monsters, ghosts that they drop. You can also pick up, as you see there, potions that strengthen your gravekeeper. The blue potion makes him move faster. There's a red potion that makes his fireballs set the enemies on fire faster, and once they turn into a great ball of fire, then you can roll them across the screen. And there's a potion that lets you throw the fireballs further across the screen. You basically have 1 life and 3 hits per life. If you do take a hit, however, then that does make it so that you lose any powers you accumulated. When you destroy an enemy, they drop diamonds, or they drop those potions. They drop a skull that's like a kind of a D power-up, so you lose any powers you have, so definitely don't like that one. But most importantly, from time to time, they'll drop these little bags, and the bags act, you might see one here, or you might not, but the bags act as multipliers, so that any treasure you pick up is multiplied times 2, times 4, all the way up to times 8. And really by picking up those bags, that's how you really, there's a skull, don't want that. You can hit it out of the way. By picking up those bags, that's how you accumulate a high score. I've come back and played this game many times over the years. I'm going to put a screenshot of my high scores up at the end. Basically, this is a game where I've got probably close to, I can't even remember, 8 or 9 million. I think I've been trying to get into around 10 million for a long time. It's not really a terribly difficult game. You can get through the first 14 stages with just, there's a money bag or a multiplier bag. But you can get through the first 14 stages without really even taking a hit. Once you get to the 3rd boss of the game, he's a little bit more challenging. It's like these 2 gargoyles, but you can learn how to beat them. And the challenge is fun. The notion to go for a high score is really fun. It's a fun game to play here, as you see, in co-op. It's very colorful. I love the Halloween theme to the game. This game is very reminiscent of Snow Bros, and there have been other games like this one. But it kind of reminds me of a more cartoonish Castlevania or Splatterhouse. It's one you can play with kids. It's not really too scary. I mean, it does kind of have these monsters and things like that, but for the most part, it's done in a very cartoonish fashion. So it almost reminds me more of like a Saturday morning cartoon, you know, than anything that's really too particularly scary. But I'll show here, I think, the first boss of the game. The boss is really fun, too. He's just a giant zombie. The challenge really comes in, as I said, after the 3rd boss, and as you get kind of into the last 10 stages of the game, the creatures get a little faster. If you have Unibios installed on your Neo Geo, then you can set the difficulty, which makes the zombies or the enemies in the stages walk a little bit faster or slower. So you can put it down to level 1, and most of the enemies move really slow, or level 8, and they'll walk really fast at you. I have it here just to the default setting. Now, one kind of little strategy that anybody ever playing this that I'll give you is, if you're going for a high score, this first boss, you'll notice you have a time limit. But if you take the zombies, which you're supposed to roll back into him 4 times to kill him, but if you take those zombies and roll them into the far wall, then you can kind of get some extra treasure that you might not otherwise get, and that can kind of help you tally a higher score, particularly if you've already picked up the multiplier bags. That's one thing I've done to kind of help me on my way to getting a high score. But again, that's basically it, guys. This is Nightmare in the Dark. If you played a lot of the fighting games for the Neo Geo, or some of the other games for the system that are more popular, but want to try something different, then I highly recommend this one. I don't know if I'd call this my favorite Neo Geo game. If it's not my favorite, it's definitely one of my top 3, but it's one of the ones, if not the biggest one, that I put in my system and just play for the pure fun of it. more or almost as much as any other game. So it's just a really, really fun game. So anyway, guys, that's basically it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to do some more Neo Geo video games like this in the future, and God bless.